Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Alexis and today I'm going to be talking about Love and War by Lynn. This is a debut romance book. It's a modern historical romance with a black woman and white man taking place during the beginning of World War II, or a little bit before that, I guess you could argue. As well as time jumps into the 1980s and the future, happily ever after, if you will, of said leading pair. I will say that I was initially going to just gush about this book, which I'm still going to do, but I decided to record it now because I found out that the book club I participate in monthly, that was going to do this for June, decided to cancel it due to sensitivity reasons, mainly for a Jewish population, because obviously the Holocaust is a very difficult time, and that takes decades to recover from. I mean, war in general takes decades, maybe even centuries to recover from as a people, because hardship. And you can say that about any place. And I do not identify as a Jewish person. However, I do identify as a minority. And because we're no longer going to be talking about this, I can't, or at least I feel like I won't be able to gush about it the way I want to with a group of people who've also read it, or maybe even disagree with me about everything that I enjoyed about this. But that's okay, because I can just make my own video and gush about it all I want here. Now, before I get into the plot of this book, I will say that there is a movie I watched before titled Where Hands Touch that came out in 2018. I'll place it right here. Amanda Steinberg was in it. You may be familiar with that actor through The Hate You Give as the leading role, or Everything Everything, or even in The Hunger Games Rue. I enjoyed all of those portrayals, and there is no exception with this one. Where Hands Touch follows a Nazi white boy and a black girl and their romance and young love. Essentially, Amanda's character is put into a concentration camp, whereas her love interest ends up being forced into the Nazi regime. And despite everything that they went through, they don't get happily ever after, although they manage to live on or grieve in a certain way. I won't say who goes through what. You'll just have to watch it to understand. But because of that movie, I was able to see people of color, or at least in this case, what it could have been like for people of color during World War II in a Nazi occupied area. Whereas this book follows Victoire and Emile. Victoire was a French black singer, and Emile was a German surgeon who was forced into the Nazi regime because of his negotiating father. And I thought that was an interesting plot point in here. There was an initial attraction before said war, but then when things started to become more occupied and she is nearly captured, Emile comes in and claims that she is his maid in order to protect her, and then goes into isolation to protect her. I really enjoyed this story. It does capture moments of grief, of loss, hardship, but it doesn't get as violent as you may expect out of war. I mean, there's still death involved and some fighting, but I would still compare it to, the standard, what they usually have in TV or movie entertainment. Not too much to the point of being grossed out, but enough to make you feel like they are having to overcome this sort of suffering. And I was very surprised with this because it is a short book. There are only maybe less than 5 moments in here where I really teared up. And that's where all these blue marks are, because I was getting really attached and they were just going through heavy, heavy things, moments of like maybe it was leaning towards possession or overprotection, or there's moments of like hate crimes definitely present in here. It's a heavy book, and it's not a heavy book, if you know what I mean. So I mean, there's not a lot of pages, but the plot in here is definitely heavy, but not too heavy for me anyway, to the point where I couldn't read it. I refused to put it down. In fact, I pretty sure I read this maybe in one sitting at the time. Not sure, it's been a while, but it lives on in my head. And some of my favorite moments include, well, aside from the time jumping, it does jump into present day 1980s, where we see mother and daughter talking and reflecting and reminiscing about the past. Various languages are used in here. Apparently there's an audiobook. I do not have access to it yet. I don't know if I will, because apparently it's supposed to be more graphic and have more noises in the back to give you a better idea of the setting. Not sure if I'm going to appreciate that, but I definitely appreciate the story here. And just there are moments of, aside from the suffering, of forgiveness and apology. There were promises of someday, and the story of Rolf. You'll have to read it to understand what I'm talking about. The rabbit and his family. Again, you'll have to read to understand what I'm alluding to. And if you do decide to read it, definitely comment down below. I hope you enjoy reading it as much as I do. But if you don't, please be respectful, because again, I wouldn't want anyone to crap on my books, and I try not to do that. I try to be as respectful as I can, even if I'm speaking on something I don't like. So please try to do that with this book, even if you don't like it, but I don't see why you wouldn't like it. But hey, I got to respect other people's opinions, and hence I respect the book club's decision not to do it anymore for June. But considering it's my birthday month, I was really looking forward to it. And now that we're not doing it anymore, I'm very, very sad. But life goes on, and characters continue to live on in my head. So without further ado, feel free to comment down below your thoughts on this book, or even the discussion I mentioned, or even if you watched that movie Where Hands Touch, feel free. But until next time, happy reading. I'm Alexis, and take care.